Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm just doing a second video, and this is kind of a like a cult kind of sort of a cult, sort of new age video. I'm trying to do these more and more, and this one's about the art of reframing. And now, what is reframing? Well, in NLP, it's kind of defined as like you take this belief and then you give an alternate or opposite opinion about it that has proven in your life, and then you kind of adopt the opposite belief as a result. So I have an example from my own life. This is probably one of the best examples I've ever heard. This could cause, and this is kind of with the occult and a lot of with magic and chaos magic and so forth. I think this is kind of a fitting of that. So basically how it works is that, for example, in my own life, I used to live in this like crowded, kind of cluttered attic room, renting from my friend. That's when people were like commenting on my videos that I lived in my mom's basement and stuff. It was actually an attic, and it was my friend's attic. Sorry to disappoint you. Probably somewhat of a former friend's attic, unfortunately, because he's kind of gone off the deep end about certain issues that we disagree on. You probably know what that is watching my channel. Anyways, so the whole thing was like, I was really depressed for a while, and I was like, a girl would never go up here. But one of my friends came over, my best friends, and he's like, man, this is kind of a cool place. It's like just kind of weird and like kind of funky and unique, the vibe and stuff. And it's like, this would be romantic to get a chick up here. And it's like, this is so, at the time, I was like, this is so ludicrous and so ridiculous. Like that whole idea that this is some kind of like thing, but it's almost like a role play or something, like in your head, like you can like play this role, this guy that lives in this attic. It's like this forbidden place for a woman, or sorry, for a woman, you know, or whatever. So like you have this mystique or this vibe because you have this attic room that you're in or something. That's what I mean by that. So months later, you know, I do get a girlfriend, and she comes up to the attic and stuff. And it's like, I don't think if I would have had that reframing that I would have had maybe the balls to go at it so hard to get another girlfriend at that point in time. So that's my whole point about reframing. It's like, how do you view yourself in reality with other people and with yourself and everything? It's like, reframing is a very important tool. It's like I could say, oh, I work a shitty job. I live in this apartment in this side of town and blah blah blah, and I have a shitty car, or I could say, I'm an underdog. Who's gonna make it in life and do all this. I do all this stuff, and I can think about the positive. And one way to do this is have these, what I call the column method is having, you have a sheet of paper. And I may actually explain this more in depth in another video, and I did talk about it last year, but I'm trying to get into more of these videos because I think they're cool. So you kind of have this like side where you have the belief, and the other side you have the contrary belief. So that's the whole thing about reframing, though. Like, reframing is a very good method to have. It's like, I remember this pickup book. I think it was Neil Strauss. It was like, it wasn't The Game. It was one of his other books about pickup artist stuff. And it was like, instead of like mentioning to a woman that you work at some boring, like, let's say like you work at a call center that does stuff for cell phones. And this is going to sound cheesy, and I would never go this far because it's kind of ridiculous, but like, this is a way to reframe. Oh, I work at a boring call center job. You can tell that to the woman, or you can say, oh, I work at a job that is at the cutting edge of technology. That's an example of a reframe. It's like sort of a reframe. You're kind of spicing things up. You're kind of thinking the opposite, thinking the more positive thing. Because what's the truth? Are you working at a company that's pushing cutting edge technology, or are you working at a shitty call center? Well, they're both true, but why not emphasize that other thing in your mind and everything else? And with attraction and everything, you got to look at the positive in that situation. So it's like a lot of people have done reframing about this whole, a lot of these crises where you're in. It's like, well, this is like, for example, during the actual lockdown last year, people, all these like gurus and spiritual new age gurus and stuff, and all these like new age, like self-help motivational people, like, this is a chance to like really get into yourself and like improve your life and look at your own life. And yeah, I mean, I'm making fun of it, but at the same time, that is a reframe, isn't it? It's a reframing, you know. That's kind of my whole point. So like a lot of times I've kind of gotten stuck in life. And I don't look at the positive in things. And it's just like, by reframing, you can kind of just get out of that rut and just realize, like, you know, and I'm going to be doing this myself in my own life way more than I have in the last several years, because I think it's a good way to get things going in your life, is by reframing. And that's how you do things. That's how you get things done. It's like you kind of think of the opposite belief that you have, you know, it's like, well, blah, blah, blah. I could define myself as this person who has this, you know, these problems and these conditions. And, you know, I could think of myself, I can never do this or that again or ever, you know. It's like, but I could also think, oh man, you know, I could think the opposite. It's like, well, I have all these attributes and all these things that I've had done. You know, I've had, like, for example, if I was like really depressed about my lot with the ladies, I could say, oh my God, it's been too long since I've had a date, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I've had some success with the ladies, you know. I've approached probably a lot more women than your average person, your average dude, you know, that's like trying to get better with the ladies. I've approached probably, you know, hundreds at this point, you know. And now that hasn't gone out very well in the past in certain ways. Some situations haven't gone as well as they should have because of certain things, you know, certain limiting beliefs that I have. And, you know, like, just, you know, get in a conversation and then walk off, you know, that's not the way to get the success in that area. But yeah, I can think of the positive. I can think of what I have done, see the situation as half full, you know, musician, and I'm doing all this shit, you know. It's like, that's a half, you know, that's a more positive positioning in your life. So reframing things, like, oh, you know, people, was it Viktor Frankl, you know, he wrote Man's Search for Meaning. I think he was in the concentration camps. He's like, you know, thinking, he reframed that and as this like game to, you know, to win, a game to win, a whole thing to, you know, move beyond in time. And he did, and he survived many other people, many of his friends and probably family dying in the concentration camps in World War II. So that's kind of the way of reframing. A little morbid subject, you know, but it is true. That's reframing 101. So I'm going to talk more about this in other videos, but that's about all.